Hi everyone, welcome to the Lazy Professor channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about the dangers of the computer world or the dangers of the cyberspace. My presentation will have the following outline. First, I'm going to talk about the various dangers of the computer world. Then I'm going to talk about how these dangers affect us as we use computers. Then I also talk about how we can navigate around these dangers or how we can manage them. Then I'll summarize the presentation and come to an end. So let's get started. Now, as the world becomes more digitalized, there's a need, or there will be the need for people to embrace the use of computers, because we are going to see computers taking or playing major roles in different aspects of our lives, whether on a personal level or even in the business space or in a professional environment. We are going to see the need, for us to use more computers to help us accomplish various tasks. So this will also mean that to actually take full advantage of the opportunities that these computers may offer, we would also have to embrace the use of computers and learn how to use them and actually use them. However, the computer world actually has dangers, that we must all be aware of as we use computers. And some of these dangers include software glitches. You may have viruses, things like exposure, hacking, identity theft, financial theft, extortion, human trafficking, addiction, pornography, and several other kinds of dangers. Glitches, for instance, may be as a result of the software code having some problem in it, that actually creates some kind of problem for the user, maybe leaking personal information out there into the world, or making it easier, for malware to get into your machine. Viruses also are special software codes written, to actually come to your computer to create or cause damage to your computer or even steal data from it. Exposure, this actually happens a lot in the social media space, where people are actually exposed to the world, so sometimes people will come, put personal things on there, take photographs, their workplaces, their children, family, and all those kinds of things. These things expose you to the world, and you never know who is monitoring you for evil. And for some of these people's accounts, it's just a matter of time. All the pieces connected together gives whoever is observing you a very accurate picture of your lifestyle in general, and it becomes easier for you to become a victim or a target. Hacking, for instance, also is such that people can be hacked, once you are using computers and connected to the internet, for instance, and the hackers can actually have access to your computer and either steal sensitive data from your computer or even monitor the environment of the computer, like through your microphone or through your webcam camera, and actually see what the webcam actually sees. So identity theft is also a danger that is available within the computer world, where people can actually take your identity and use it to do other things, in your name and in your likeness. Financial theft also is there, where people steal bank account details online and actually empty people's accounts. Extortion is there, where people may lead you online or engage you in a friendly manner and eventually bring you to a point where they need to blackmail you, or they need to actually force you to actually part with some kind of resource. Human trafficking is also there. A lot of people have suffered from this. People have been trafficked online, where small conversations online lead to the need to meet up in physical terms, and then a lot of criminals have used this technique to traffic a lot of people. You have things like addiction, things that you could be addicted to, maybe something like games, or gambling or something like that. That is also available online, and that is also quite serious. Pornography is also there, where that also comes with its own problems and its own dangers and all that. Now, what happens is that all these dangers that have been described, can actually destroy the life of the individual, and sometimes this destruction can be so deep that it will be difficult for the person to recover. and many people or many lives have been destroyed as a result of these kinds of dangers, and people have become victims because they were ignorant and they didn't actually understand that these things are there, within the digital space, and could actually harm them. Now, as a people, we are at risk once we step into the computer world. Once we start using computers, we are at risk, and we are more likely to fall into any of these traps. Now, the dangers within the computer world actually affect our lives in so many different ways, and it also affects our safety. Things like our very existence, our lives, our finances, our health, the kind of education that we receive online, even the beliefs that we eventually become to believe. And the kind of education and belief also affects us, how we behave psychologically, even towards ourselves, how we relate to others. All these things, can be influenced, by the kind of experiences that we get within the computer world or within the cyberspace. Now, each of the aforementioned effects can actually change the course or the destiny of the individual for worse. And depending on how these effects actually come to the individual, they can actually be more devastating to the life of the individual. Now, safety is important in all aspects of life, and the same also happens, or the same is true for the computer world. And to be safe within the computer world around all these dangers, knowledge is the only way out. We must be knowledgeable, and we must actually understand that these things exist, and we must have knowledge that will help us navigate our way around these things. And we all have a responsibility as users of computers to acquire the relevant knowledge that will help us safely navigate the computer world, so we can manage these dangers and we can jump over them and do exactly what we need to do within the computer world to be productive. Now, the first step for us to understand, or the first step to help us navigate or manage around these dangers, is to actually understand that these dangers are real and they actually exist in the computer world. Because once we understand, it brings us to a certain level of consciousness that we can start taking steps, to help us manage these dangers. Balanced knowledge is the only way out of these dangers that we have within the computer world. The reason why I say balanced knowledge is because most of the time people are taught how to use the various digital tools available, but the other side of the knowledge that actually should teach people how to navigate around these dangers are usually left out. So the kind of knowledge that we seek, within the digital space should be balanced between knowing how to use and apply the various digital tools, and also understanding that there are dangers, and then learning how to jump over these dangers, or how to navigate our way around these kinds of dangers that are more likely to come in our direction. Now, within the cyberspace, one other measure that is very important that must be taken is that every software used by the user must be authentic, must be updated, and must also be from a trusted source. And at all times, we must avoid the use of pirated software, because once the software is pirated, you never know what the one who pirated the software put into the code. And it could be that this pirated software that you're using could actually be monitoring everything that you do in a computer and actually sending vital information about your computer usage to someone somewhere that you don't even know about. And it could be a problem, especially if you are using your computer for personal things, like doing your online banking or whatever it is. These kinds of details could be stolen, and if you're not very careful, your bank account details could be wiped out. And usually when you're online, you need to pay attention to the website address, and do not or never provide personal information on suspicious website. If you suspect a website, and this website is asking you for some details like your name, your passwords and whatever, never provide such details. It's very, very important. Even when you're filling a form on a legitimate website, you need to pay attention to the address of that particular website, because the address at all times would have something that we call the domain name of the company with which you are doing business with, or with which you're following online. So anytime that domain name is not there or is changed to something else, you need to actually be suspicious about it. Hackers have used this particular method to actually steal financial information from a lot of people. So what they typically do is that they send you a link in an email, and then they make a clone or an exact design of your online banking interface, and then they give the different website address. So what happens is that they send you a message, a panic message that, oh, maybe somebody is trying to tamper with your bank account details. So change your login details or change your password. You click the link, and the link sends you to a page where you see your normal internet banking thing. But what happens is that if you don't pay attention to the website address, you will not realize that this is a different web page, not from your bank, because everything looks the same. And the moment you start entering information like your name, your password, or whatever it is, the hacker is sitting somewhere capturing all these details. And once they have these details, they use it to log into your actual original bank account online. And then they immediately change the password to lock you out of it. And sometimes within minutes, they can actually wipe out your bank account details. This has happened to a lot of people because they usually don't know about these things. So it's very important that website address, you always need to pay attention to website address, especially if you're browsing a website where you need to enter some kind of personal information. And anytime you suspect a website, do not enter any personal information inside. And another point is that never do online banking or any sensitive personal business online on a public computer. A public computer is a computer that may be used in a library or in some cafe or some restaurant or whatever it is, or some shop somewhere. Never do that, because the current web browsers that we have in the system have the capacity to actually record and store login information and certain details as you browse. So you never know if the computer has been configured or the browser has been configured to capture information for login and you don't know about it. You go in, you log in into your bank account, whatever it is, that information is stuck on that computer. Even if you log out and leave that computer, another person who comes to that same computer can log into the account that you just logged in and left. And if you're not very careful, and especially if it has to do with, let's say, your sensitive emails or your bank account, your money issues, and whatever it is, such a person could cause trouble for you. So always ensure that you never use a public computer for personal business online. If you need to do any kind of personal business, like logging into your banking account or whatever it is, use your own personal computer that you use alone, that you don't have to share with anybody, any other person. Also, if you receive any email asking you to update your bank account details because somebody has attempted to log in your bank account, whatever it is, even if you want to change your bank account details, like your login details, try to contact your bank first before you go ahead with that. Because as I said initially, hackers have used this particular trick to steal huge sums of monies from unsuspecting people. So it's always important that whatever email you receive on your account asking you to change anything in respect to your account, ask your bank first before you take the next move. So in summary, the computer world has dangers that we must all be aware of. We must understand that these dangers are real and they can cause problems for us. So we must know, because being aware is the first step towards us taking measures against these kinds of dangers. Now, these dangers are quite serious and they can actually destroy the life of the individual, and several people are falling victims to these kinds of dangers within the cyberspace because fundamentally they didn't know about these kinds of dangers, or they didn't know how to manage them or how to navigate around them. Now, it is important that people within the computer world know about the dangers and know about how to navigate around the dangers. This particular kind of knowledge is usually not available to people. And even I've realized that several courses, online or in traditional education systems meant to teach people how to use various digital tools and stuff, most of them do not mention that the cyberspace has issues that people must know how to navigate around. So it's very, very important that we seek the kind of knowledge that can help us remain safe online. Now, diving into the computer world is a big, in ignorance, it's a very big mistake, because if you know how to do one thing and you head on straight to get to do it, if you're not very careful, you may not even see a malicious activity, or you may not be able to recognize a danger if you see one, and you can easily become a victim in such a situation. Now, by knowledge and by responsible usage, the computer world can actually be a safe place for everybody. The only key is knowledge. Once you have the knowledge and you understand how to manage yourself within the digital space, the digital space is a safe place at that particular point in time. So at this point, I would like to thank you very much for making the time to watch this presentation. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.